Do you guys remember when I told you that story about how I made meatloaf one time and I haven't made it since? Tonight's the night. We're having meatloaf for dinner. I'm gonna tell you all about that infamous meatloaf. I start cooking when my husband leaves work, giving myself 30 minutes on the clock. Tonight we're having a Midwest core meal of meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and sweet peas. Let's see if I can beat the clock. Who am I kidding? Nobody can make a meatloaf in 30 minutes, so this one's a 60-minute meal. Technically, we have to get our meatloaf into the oven. We're starting with that. 2 pounds of ground beef. To this, I'm adding garlic. I don't want to chop up garlic tonight. Probably a tablespoon. Since it's garlic, it doesn't have a lot of great flavor. It has enough flavor to get us through. I'm also going to add in a really good amount of Worcestershire sauce, probably a tablespoon. I have to do some light chopping here. A good knife. The first time I ever made meatloaf, we were actually living with Derek's brother. I was so proud. I thought for sure I could make a great meatloaf. It was good. In my defense, it tasted great. Derek, bless his heart, ate it the entire time. He was just like, this is so good. With just this weird ass look on his face. He did not come back for seconds. The meatloaf sat in the refrigerator. Most of it got wasted. He would not give me feedback. He just was like, the meatloaf was great. It was fine. I would continue to offer to make meatloaf. He just was always like, let's have something different. Maybe not meatloaf. I finally just started to put it together that there was something about that meatloaf that he didn't like. I don't know what I did. I made it like I always do. Like I always had before that. Finally told me. It was awful. It was dense. He thought it looked gray, which it wasn't gray. We'll get the real review tonight. We'll see how he really feels about it. What's that, a cup or so of onion? I'm happy with that. Adding that in to our mixture. 2 eggs. 1 egg per pound of meat is always my go-to. You can use breadcrumbs. I think it's great. If you've seen my meat cup video, you know that I don't use breadcrumbs. I use stuffing mix. It has a lot of seasoning in it already. I don't have to waste time on seasoning. This is already gonna get all throughout. I do about a half a cup per pound of meat. There's 1 cup. I'm gonna do just a little bit more tonight. For milk, I'm gonna do just about a half a cup. I might adjust this and add some more milk, just depending on how the consistency is looking, based on the night. Best thing is to get in here with your hands. I absolutely hate getting meat underneath my fingernails. I gotta get some gloves. Mix this up. I'm gonna have to get my hands in there. It grosses me out so bad. I definitely needed a bigger bowl. Key thing is you don't necessarily want to over mix this. This meatloaf, it might end up being just as bad as that first one. Now we're getting somewhere. Now that I've made an ever-loving mess of my kitchen, we're gonna take our meatloaf, put it into a loaf pan. I'm gonna actually take some of this off. I probably only needed 1.5 pounds of meat for the size of our loaf pan. Just kind of smooth this out. I'll be back to show you mashed potatoes and the rest of it. I'm gonna wash my hands thoroughly, probably like 6 times because this is so gross. After her hands are washed, into a 375-degree oven for about an hour. I'm just gonna disinfect. I disinfected once. I just feel like I need to give this one more wipe down. For our mashed potatoes, I don't need a ton of leftover mashed potatoes. I'm gonna do 6 or 7 Klondike Gold potatoes and give these a good rinse. Perfect. I'm just gonna take off any funky bits off of the potato. I'm not peeling. I'm gonna cut these into 1-inch cubes, roughly 1-inch cubes, like that. There we go. Drop them into our pot. I was apparently just yapping with myself. I ran them under some cold water and rinsed them one time. Then I refilled my pot with cold water. Going to add in a good amount of salt, probably 2 teaspoons at least of salt. And these are gonna go onto a burner and boil until they're nice and squishy. Is that a thing? Squishy potatoes. Nice and soft. The last part of our meal is canned peas. Derek and I are a sucker for canned sweet peas. Small sweet peas, they're really good. We found them at Sam's Club. I know they're not for everybody. I'm gonna do 2 cans so we have some that are left over for lunch. Check out how nice and smooth this can opener is. My mom got this for me. It's so fancy. And circles around my KitchenAid. Just gonna go on the stovetop and warm up. Pass me the peas, please. This has been in the oven for about 45 minutes. I'm gonna do a little temp check and see if we're getting anywhere close to being done. We got ways to go. For meatloaf topping, I'm gonna do a little ketchup mixture. I think traditionally it's like ketchup, brown sugar. We're kind of going for that. About that much ketchup, what's that, a half cup or so? I like a little bit of zing of mustard, so we're gonna add a tiny bit of mustard in here. Let's call that a tablespoon. For seasoning, I'm gonna do a heaping teaspoon of the Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse. A dabble of Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of brown sugar, enough to give it some glaziness. Let's call that 2 to 3 tablespoons, definitely less than a 1/4 cup. Mix it together and give it a little taste. Taste it. Baby spoon. Nailed it. Going to prep for our mashed potatoes. Got a gigantic roll of butter. This makes me feel like I eat too much butter, which is probably accurate. I'm gonna take off a big chunk here. We're going for somewhere like a half a stick of butter. Seems like a lot. I think it'll be okay. Just pulled this meatloaf out of the oven to add the glaze to the top. Add a nice layer of this all over the top. You can hear those potatoes back there boiling away. Supper's coming together actually really nicely. I'm gonna pop this back in the oven. It's gonna go on the bottom shelf because I don't want it to get too caramely on top for probably at least 15 more minutes. So we've got that much time. Our potatoes are squishy. I'm kidding, they're soft. They're perfectly cooked. Hot potato, mash them up. Get the butter melted in here. I like a chunky potato. My husband likes to say that I like my potatoes just like him, just a little bit chunky. I cannot put that in the video. Actually, I think the last time that I made potatoes, I was like, I like my potatoes just a little bit rustic and chunky. Derek was like, is that why you like me? I'm just a little rustic and a little chunky. I don't think he's chunky. I feed him a lot of really good food. I'm probably the reason for any heart problems that he might have down the road. Let's add a little milk. We're not going for smooth. We're gonna need some salt. Normally I do garlic salt. Tonight I'm just feeling regular salt. Just some kosher salt. And there's the timer for our meatloaf. Perfect. Alexa, stop. That's the consistency that I'm going for. Perfect. I'm gonna set these to the side, get our meatloaf out and see if it's done. They should be getting home any minute. I don't know what's taking so long. When you have a little bit fattier beef, you're going to end up with some grease here around the edges. Actually, as this sits, those are gonna suck right back into it. We're just having fatty meatloaf tonight, which is fine. Check the temp there in the middle. It's officially done. I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit and cool down, and then we'll serve it up. Here's the bite. Admittedly, I feel like this is a really soft meatloaf. It looks really good. I think this beats the gray meatloaf. Here's the bite. So good. You guys have to make this. Thanks for sticking around.